Then join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning and welcome to our Thursday morning meeting of the Board of County Commissioners, April 11th, 2024. My name is Andy Hunthausen. To my left, Commissioner Tom Rolfe. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
To Commissioner Rolfe's left is Nadine McCarty and Flo Liston, who'll be taking care of us today. Thank you both. And Greg McNally, our Director of Community Planning and Development. To my right, Commissioner Candace Payne. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Deputy County Attorneys Nico Hash and Keegan Shea. Good morning, gentlemen. And our Chief Administrative Officer, Roger Baltz. Good morning, sir. I want to remind everyone there is a sign-in sheet in the front as well as agendas. We'd like a good record of who's attended our public meeting. So if you'd please sign in prior to leaving today, that would be grand. And we will start with our consent action items. Mr. Baltz, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. You have two items to consider under consent today. The first is item 2A, vendor claims for the week ending April 12, 2024. Staff recommends approval of that item. And the next item is item 2B, Resolution 2024-20 declaring county property surplus property. And staff recommends that item as well. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Baltz. Any questions, Commissioners? Any questions? Any public comment on the consent action items? Any public comment on the consent action items? Public comment. All right, hearing none. Commissioners, is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I would move to accept the consent action items, to approve the consent action items 2A and B as explained by Mr. Baltz.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve consent action items 2A and B as presented. Further discussion, Commissioners? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is a bid award for Valley Drive improvements. Mr. Karlin, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. For the record, Dan Karlin, County Engineer. On March 28th of 2024, 3 bids were open for the Valley Drive Improvements Project. The project generally consists of an asphalt overlay for a portion of Valley Drive from Canyon Ferry Road to Howard Road, approximately 8.96 miles. It has 1 full depth digout and 2 approaches that will be repaired as well in the East Valley of Helena, Montana. Funding for this project is in the road infrastructure budget. After review of the bids, staff recommends awarding the contract to Hoffman's R&M Services, Inc. of Helena, Montana for a total contract amount of $148,618.00 and authorize the chair to sign all applicable contract documents. And I can answer questions if you have any.
Thank you, Mr. Karlin. Questions for Mr. Karlin?
None.
I don't have any questions. Just wanted to, for the public's interest, potentially just reiterate the process. So the bids came in, we opened bids in the public domain here, and then staff take those bids under advisement, make sure that they all meet the criteria that we set out in our bid documents, as well as the law and bidding processes. And then you bring back a recommendation for us for the best value for the taxpayers. Does that essentially sum it up?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, that's correct.
And so today we're acting on that and awarding the bid to the bidder that we found most appropriate in this case. Okay. Any other questions, Commissioners, for Mr. Karlin?
Is someone here from Hoffman Drive Improvements? Or Hoffman R&M Services, excuse me.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Payne, I don't believe so.
Oh.
No. Typically, they don't usually show up for the award. They will generally show up for the bid openings just to see where they landed. But
Okay. Thank you. I have more questions.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Karlin. How about public comment on this item? Any public comment on this item? Any public comment? Seeing no public come forward, Commissioners, is there a motion to award the bid to Hoffman R&M Services, Inc. as presented by Mr. Karlin?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve award the bid to Hoffman R&M Services, Inc. for $148,618.00. And looking forward to that happening. Commissioners, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Karlin, you are up again for a bid award for the Augusta gravel project.
All right, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, again, for the record, Dan Karlin,
Is
County
the
Engineer.
green light on? Oh, good.
Green
Thank you.
light.
Just wanted to double check. Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So you can see on your screen a location map of where this gravel's intended to land when we place it. But on March 28th of 2024, one bid was open for the Augusta gravel supply project. Project generally consists of providing 20,000 tons of 1¼ inch minus top surfacing gravel stockpiled within a 10-mile radius of the intersection of Sun Canyon Road and Bar Creek Roads in Augusta, Montana. Funding for this project is in the road infrastructure budget. After review of the bid, staff recommends awarding the contract to Valley Sand and Gravel LLC of Helena, that's correct, of Helena, Montana, for the total contract amount of $197,800, and authorize the chair to sign all applicable contract documents. So just to elaborate ever so slightly here, so this is a supply bid, so they'll be providing the gravel, and then county crews or a contractor at a later date will transport that to the project site to place it, and your map there shows where we intend to put that material.
And that is Sun Canyon Road.
That is correct.
So it's a section of Sun Canyon Road that's approximately
6 miles.
6 miles long. This has been, I'll sum it up this way. We've had phased approach to re-graveling the entire length of Sun Canyon Road, and this is, we're getting there. This is,
Yes.
maybe speak to that a little bit, just the history of this.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. So I don't know when the first round was, but we've used the Federal Lands Access Program, or FLAP grant program, because this road access is federal ground, in the past to what we call re-gravel the road. That has been very successful in the past, but they've changed the program parameters a little bit, and that's not really a thing they like to fund anymore. So we've done 3 segments of that road using FLAP, and this is I believe the second round of us using our own funding to re-gravel these roads. So as some of you guys are aware, when we, as a road ages, right, we put generally 6 to 9 inches of gravel material on a roadway surface. That material is lost through a variety of means. You see it in the dust. That's the fine material leaving the road. Also, when we blade the road, we tend to lose some of the gravel, the larger particles of that material to the ditches, gets thrown. We do gather as much of that back into the road and work that back into the surface as we can, but we also lose it through plowing and things of that nature. So every so often, we do need to re-gravel the road.
Thank you. Any questions, Commissioners, at this point for Mr. Karlin? Any questions related to this bid award? Okay, how about public comment on this proposed bid award for the Augusta gravel project? Any public comment? Any public comment? Hearing no public come forward, please, Commissioners, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we accept the bid award for the Augusta gravel as presented by Dan Karlin.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the bid award, the Augusta gravel project, and this is to Valley Sand and Gravel LLC as presented by Mr. Karlin. Further discussion, Commissioners? Thank you for the explanation, Mr. Karlin, and it's important. We have other members of the team here that get out there on the ground and their teams on the ground, and really appreciate the work, and it's looking forward to this. This will be nice to have that gravel placed in the area. I plan to support this motion and get this project moving. So thank you very much. Commissioners, with that, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. All right, next item on the agenda is a Cooperative Forest Road Agreement between Lewis and Clark County and the United States Forest Service. Good morning, Mr. Horne.
Mr. Chairman, good morning. Commissioner Rolfe, good morning, sir. Commissioner Payne, good morning to you as well, madam. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Kevin Horne. Spelling on that is first name Kevin, Kevin. Last name is Horne, Horne. I'm the operations manager for Lewis and Clark County's Public Works Department. And I gotta say, I was just recently asked why I always spell my name out. There's an E on the last name, so it's silent. I've come to notice that there is some other Kevin Horns within the neighborhood that don't spell it the same. There actually is a Kevin Horne that does spell it the same that I found out. So I might be using my middle initial, maybe going forward with the letter N. So just interesting story. So I do have a memo here for you. Today's number 5 agenda is entitled Cooperative Forest Agreement between Lewis and Clark County and the United States Forest Service. Maybe, Mr. Chairman, after I read the memo, I could give you a little bit of history on this. You might have some questions. It is a big packet. There is a lot of maps in here. I didn't have any visual aids due to that. It's a pretty big document. I don't know how many pages, as you well can see here. So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, before you today is a Cooperative Forest Agreement, Schedule A, between the United States Forest Service and Lewis and Clark County. This is a long-lasting agreement between the U.S. Forest Service and Lewis and Clark County Public Works Department. This Schedule A agreement allows maintenance on specific roads outlined within this agreement to be performed either by Lewis and Clark County on U.S. Forest Service roads or by the U.S. Forest Service on Lewis and Clark County roads. Hopefully I clarified that. That's really important. These specific roads are also outlined in this agreement. This agreement serves as a document of which specific project agreements between Lewis and Clark County and the United States Forest Service are outlined in detail. Couple parts of this contract. This agreement also allows funding transfers for specific project agreements by the U.S. Forest Service and gives them the ability to transfer funds to Lewis and Clark County for services rendered under this agreement. It also has been recently modified by the U.S. Forest Service and Lewis and Clark County Public Works, and additional roads have been added. The reason for the change is to identify specific roads that may require additional maintenance due to timber harvest operations on designated haul routes. Currently, there is one ongoing specific project in this agreement requiring signatures for the Middleman Timber Harvest Project for dust abatement on the York Nelson Road. This agreement will be finalized, upon the acceptance of the Board of County Commissioners, along with signatures from Jenny Chambers, Public Works Director, the Chairman of the Board of County Commissioners, Andy Hunthausen, and Helena Lewis and Clark National Forest Supervisor, Emily Platt. Staff recommends approval of this Cooperative Forest Road Agreement, Schedule A, with the U.S. Forest Service and authorizes the chair to sign all applicable documents. Lot there. I'd be happy to answer any questions, Commissioners. Maybe just a little background on this. This, when I say this is a long-standing agreement, this has been in place for quite some time. I believe it started with Mr. Griffin and Mr. Barkley back in the day. How this agreement works is there's certain roads outlined in here, and I'll use Magpie for an example on Schedule B. That is a county road for a half mile up there. We have no roads on that side of the county that we actually maintain besides Magpie. We do have a rural improvement district up there that falls under Jessica Maycoos's RID division. That road perfectly makes sense when the Forest Service goes up to grade their portion, because they do many miles of grading up there, that we authorize them just to go ahead and grade our section. Another example of that would be on item A, Hogum Creek. That 0.7 miles is actually a Forest Service road. They don't have any equipment in that area. We have a lot of county residents and citizens that live there. So it makes sense for us to, when we're grading across the street from Alice Creek, they go ahead and do that 0.7 miles for them. So that's how I believe Mr. Barkley and Mr. Griffin established this. Since that point in time, a lot of staff has changed hands, not just with Lewis and Clark County, but also with the Forest Service. And Mr. Chair, you might remember the last time we did this cooperative agreement a few years ago, we actually had Forest Supervisor Kathy Bushnell with us. She basically took the reins at that point for the Forest Service. And I wanted to talk just briefly on that partnership with her and her staff. So with Kathy Bushnell, Dan Wood, he is the forest engineer, and Jay Hendricks, we've developed a team that we meet quarterly with the Forest Service. Our staff consists of not only myself, but engineer Karlin, Jessica Makis, on our special districts coordinator, and also Christian Leinert, our weed coordinator. That's a quarterly meeting that we have with them to establish things like you're looking at today and develop that partnership. That's how the middleman dust abatement came about. We're able to look at these projects ahead of time with the Forest Service, knowing what they're trying to accomplish on their harvest operations, and really evaluate what it's going to do to county infrastructure and county roads. And I got to say, they're a top-notch team to deal with, and they're a great partner for us at Lewis and Clark County. Little history there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Horne. Appreciate it. Questions, commissioners?
Just,
Commissioner
if I might,
Ralph?
can you give me an idea of what the average financial contribution from each side is?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Rolfe, if I understand the question correctly, within this agreement, we have added a whole bunch of roads under Schedule C of this agreement. So we tried to identify all of the areas that we think roads are going to be impacted. So as far as money changing hands both ways, I can tell you that the middleman project, the Forest Service is contributing $40,000 to dust abatement for that section of road for the log hauling. We also have a RAC grant, a Resource Advisory Committee grant in place for $20,000 over 2 years. So that is also a total of $40,000. So we have $80,000 for that specific project agreement. Typically, I guess I have never actually paid the Forest Service. It's usually the other way around. If that helps answer anything, I can't say that won't happen in the future, but typically through this agreement, it's a way for them to transfer their funds out of Forest Service dollars back to the county.
So typically, it would be applying for a grant maybe through one of theirs or one of their related organizations to fund this. It's not money coming out of our budget necessarily.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Rolfe, yes and no. We did do some work for Mr. Yarborough last year in Lincoln that did come out of our budget, but it also is a reimbursement. So it's basically a debit and a credit. And it's hard for us to put that in the budget that you guys look at and approve. That actually came out of our MAG dollars when we did a small section of Dalton, and it comes from complaints a lot. So that piece is what I was kind of trying to establish, working with their team to have a more proactive approach and maybe set some requirements from a county standpoint of what we would like to see as part of those contracts.
Mr. Chair, if I might follow up.
Please.
Just a comment. I just really appreciate that cooperation that you've got and the good relationship you've got there. And I was thinking that there wasn't anything specific in our budget, but there may occasionally be something that would pull out. But like you mentioned, quite often a reimbursement comes from them to cover our costs. Yeah. Thank you for the good effort.
You bet.
Commissioner Payne?
I was just going to help with this explanation. My first question, what is the term of is there an end date? And I think it's ongoing. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Payne, that is correct. This document stays in place until Forest Service staff and county staff decide to modify it.
Okay, and so on the modification of grant or agreement, which is somewhere, it's after the maps, if you wanted to look at that, Tom. And on it, it says the modification is to change the project title to dust abatement on timber sale roads. And then under 3, the cooperator shall, and I assume the cooperator is us, the county, right?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Payne, that is correct.
Okay. Then under C, it says, we may, the cooperator, county, bill the U.S. Forest Service for actual costs incurred not to exceed $40,000 for year 1. And then for the mag chloride. So that sort of helps us put some parameters on what we're doing with this, where the money comes from, and that this is a cooperative effort. And may I comment?
Please.
A couple of months ago, we were at a Lincoln on a Friday for our regular community meeting up there, and we took a tour, and it had to do with the original Lincoln Town Site Cemetery, which at one time was where Lincoln Town Site was located, and it's clear up in the hinterlands and crooked road and, down through the woods and up through and son of a gun, there we are. And there is a small cemetery up there, both ends, and it sits right in, and the map shows it quite clearly. It sits in the middle of the Forest Service, but it's clearly not Forest Service property. That is county property established as a cemetery. And so that was, and it's got, so are we now fixing the road to the cemetery or just the road in the cemetery? Help me.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Payne, great question. We did add that to the agreement. So it's under, let's see, I believe it's under C that we've added that. Yeah, I think it's under C there. So that has been identified in there as well under item C.
Okay.
That was, I know that had come up a lot of times at Government Day in Lincoln for sure. So yes, that has been added. If I could revert back really quick to the comments that you made on the agreement about the 40,000 in item C, that is a specific project agreement that falls under the Schedule A agreement. So as these projects come up, they will move in and out of that, of the big agreement, so to speak. So that one is very specific to that. So if we do another one on Dalton Mountain Road, we will make a form, the Forest Service will make a form just like that with those dollars amount under this agreement. That makes sense. Specific project agreements that fall under the umbrella of the Schedule A agreement, if you will.
Okay, thank you.
You betcha.
No more questions.
Thank you for the explanation. And I just kind of to sum it up, and you can tell me if I'm right, but essentially in looking at it, an agreement that we've had all along, the reason the money typically, if there is money exchange, comes in is because we end up most often doing a lot more miles for them than they do for us, and we're helping them out. And so they essentially pay us for that, and that's part of the agreement, or we have some sort of trade or whatever it works out per project. But most often it's not us paying for them to do work for us, but
Mr. Chairman, that is 100% correct.
Yeah. So I just wanted to clarify that, and I would like to parrot what Commissioner Rolfe said in that the appreciation for the agreement and the partnership. We've had a long-term partnership with the Forest Service. Even as personnel have changed, we've had a great relationship, and we've worked together very well on behalf of the taxpayer. So it would be nuts if we're all trying to do these tiny segments of road all over the place, and we're all moving equipment out there and doing our own thing. And hey, my road ends here. I'm not doing anything there. And I mean, it would be nuts, and it would cost the taxpayer significantly more money if we didn't coordinate. So coordinating services, helping each other out, and being more efficient with the public dollar and the public equipment and all of that, it's all the same taxpayer, just some are local, some are
Yep.
federal.
Mr. Chairman, you spot on, and thank you for those comments. I know we talked about it at Government Day also in Lincoln last week. I mean, we rely on all of our partners across the board, whether it's MDT, the city of Helena, the NRC, the Forest Service. That's how we get things done at Public Works, and those relationships are just imperative that we have those ongoing, no matter, who's in those roles and in those seats. And we'll continue down that path, with all of our staff. And it's a really good thing that we have going on those partnerships, you guys.
Great, and thank you for bringing this forward. Any other comments, concerns, questions from anyone? Okay, great. Commissioners, any other comments at this point or questions? How about public comment on this item? Public comment on this Cooperative Forest Road Agreement between Lewis and Clark County and the United States Forest Service. Any public comment? Last call for public comment on this item. Okay, thank you very much. No public comment. Commissioners, could I please have a motion on the cooperative agreement?
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the Cooperative Forest Road Agreement between Lewis and Clark County and the United States Forest Service as explained by Mr. Horne.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the agreement as presented. Further discussion, commissioners? All right, just thank you again. We appreciate this. This is a good thing. Glad we're continuing at the Forest Service, and thank you to them if they're watching. All right, commissioners, with that, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. All right, next item on the agenda is board appointments. I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Baltz, for a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. This is item number 6 on your agenda today. There are 3 different actions for you to consider today. As we've talked about in the past, we've changed our process slightly whereby you take these one at a time and then proceed. I'll read the memo into the record for you, Commissioners. These candidates meet the qualifications for consideration of each board that you're considering today. The first one is the Augusta Solid Waste District Board. There has been a vacancy for over a year. Lloyd Allen and Dale Clark applied. Action staff recommends that the commissioners consider the applicants and select a candidate for the Augusta Solid Waste District Board to complete the vacant term that expires December 31, 2025. So again, commissioners, this is the first one for you to consider.
Thank you very much. So commissioners, we are considering Augusta Solid Waste District Board, and there are 2 candidates, Lloyd Allen and Dale Clark. Discussion of any kind that you'd like to have at this point?
I would like to just comment that I sit on this Augusta Solid Waste Board. And Augusta is an unusual community because they are, at least from what I can have seen in my 1.5 years up there, they're very interested in recycling and making sure their community is cleaned up and doesn't have trash blowing around. I think they have a significant tourist. Lots of people come to Augusta to go up to the front and to fish and to look around and to recognize how beautiful our state and particularly our county is. And so this is a very important board. When I first came on, I believe they were having some problems as far as their finances. Our hero, Jenny Chambers, and Jackie, I can't think of Jackie's last
Pearson.
name. What's that?
Pearson.
Yes. They are, Jenny is head of our Public Works Department, and Jackie works for all of us out at the solid waste facility and those 2 ladies went up and got everything cleaned up and rearranged. And I think they had to make some hard decisions that were not necessarily popular, but it had to be done. It's hard to get people to sit on a solid waste board. They don't see it as glamorous but I've worked with the people who are on that board right now, and they take it seriously and they get their work done. I think having 2 applicants for 1 position, is that correct? We almost never have 2 volunteers for a position on one of these volunteer boards. So I think we're very fortunate to have both of these people apply. And I I'm going to have a hard time making a decision as to which one, so I hope you guys have some ideas.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Just, I thought, Mr. Allen did work for the district. And he retired from that position a couple of years ago. He's certainly qualified to be there, but my preference would be to wait a little bit longer before you put a former employee on the board, just to avoid any angst that might have occurred from before. So because of that, I would lean towards the other gentleman, but both of them are very qualified to be there as far near as I can tell.
Thank you, Commissioners, both for your comments. How about public comment on this item? Any public comment on this item? This is the Augusta Solid Waste District Board. Okay, not hearing any public comment. I would tend to agree with you, Commissioner Rolfe, on that. I think that we have two qualified candidates, and either could do the job. It's nice to see two people come forward. We often are scrambling to try and fill boards because we don't have enough volunteers. So it's really nice to see that. So I would be happy either way, but I tend to agree with kind of your thinking on that. So any further comments before I ask for a motion? How about a motion?
I would move to appoint Dale Clark to the position on the Augusta Solid Waste Board.
Second.
Moved and seconded to appoint Dale Clark to the Augusta Solid Waste District Board. Further discussion, Commissioners? All right, I just thank you to both for putting their names forward and for their willingness to serve. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. All right, Mr. Baltz, I'll turn it back over to you for the Board of Adjustment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. As you just said, the next is for the Board of Adjustment. Nicole McKeith resigned with a term to expire June 30, 2024. Tony Querini applied. Action staff recommends the Commissioners consider Tony Querini for the position of the Board of Adjustment that expires June 30, 2024.
Thank you very much. Questions or comments, Commissioners, at this point?
Again, I will comment.
Please.
As usual, I didn't know what the heck the Board of Adjustment is or was. And so I had a nice visit with Greg McNally from planning, and he knew that this is the board we put in place when the new zoning laws took place. And this is so that people, if they feel they've been wronged, have another way of looking at or getting some attention to their unhappiness with whatever has been denied or accepted or whatever. And that was in this. So this is a new board. It hasn't been around very long, and I really appreciated Greg's explanation.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any further comments? How about public comment on this item? Public comment on the appointment for the Board of Adjustments. Public comment. Seeing no public come forward, Commissioners, how about a motion?
Chairman, I move that we accept the application of Tony Querini to sit on our Board of Adjustment in place of Nicole McKeith.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve Tony Carini, if I pronounced that properly, for the Board of Adjustment appointment. Any further discussion, Commissioners? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Thank you very much. Mr. Baltz, the Fair Board.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. This item is for the Fair Board, as you just stated. So Fady Hamilton, partial term expired December 31, 2023. She does not wish to be reconsidered. A. Joe Young, partial term expired December 31, 2023. She wishes to be reconsidered. Jay Shirley, partial term expired December 31. He wishes to be reconsidered. Matt Walter and John Moore applied. Action, staff recommends that the Commissioners consider the applicants and select a candidate for the three positions on the Fair Board. And Commissioners, obviously there are 3 vacancies and 4 applicants. Thank you.
Correct. Thank you, Mr. Baltz. Just a note on that as well, that 2 of the 3 vacancies are currently filled with board members that can be appointed to a second term. And most often we do that unless we're having a significant problem with a board member or a situation. But in this case, I think both have served admirably, unless commissioners think otherwise. But discussion around these possible appointees?
I'm sorry to keep hogging this, but I sit on this board too.
Yes, you do.
And so I've worked with these people and both A. Joe Young and Jay Shirley have proven to be, you know, they show up to the meetings and discuss things and help when we need it, help us make decisions. And I have no problem with having both of those folks reappointed. And Matt Walter, I don't know him, but John Moore has been part of our community for a long time, and I do know him. So we need to pick one.
So I might surprise you here, familiarize yourself. Matt Walter is our extension agent. That Matt Walter.
Matt Walter.
Can you
Okay.
believe it? Yeah, so you do know him.
I
think.
do.
Yeah.
I just,
So, but I'm thinking the same way that Commissioner Rolfe kind of mentioned last time. I love Matt. I think he's fantastic. He's a great hand, and he is very smart and up on all these issues. However, he's kind of part of the team out there, part of the mix, and it's nice to have community members that are willing to be involved, participate in our boards and committees. And so, not because of any particular less than reason, I would lean toward John Moore just because Matt's kind of part of the system out there already. He has opportunity to give input to the fairgrounds team out there, and how things are run and how the fairs put together and all of that, because he is our extension agent out there. So I would lean toward John Moore, but be willing to have that discussion with you commissioners. Anything?
I think I would lean that way. I think Matt's a great hand, but having community members involved is important. And we get to lean on Matt anytime we need his expertise. So we're kind of going to have him available to participate anyway. So let's get another person involved.
That's kind of my thinking too. So
I think that's very reasonable, and I apologize for not recognizing Matt's name.
it's easy to do. You don't think about our own.
No,
Folks,
and
participate.
besides, everybody on these boards tends to be fairly mature. How's that? And he's just a kid. I would never think that he'd want to do this. So I'm, you know,
I can't wait
appreciate
till
his-
he responds to that.
Yeah, oh geez. I get eggs thrown at me next time I go. Anyway,
So
so
it might be a big compliment, Commissioner. Who knows?
Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
So there you go. How about public comment on this, these appointments or potential appointments? Any public comment related to the Fair Board appointments? Okay, commissioners, I think it is possible to probably throw all 3 appointments out there in a row if I'm reading the room right. So would you like to make a motion, one of you, please?
Mr. Chair, I would move to appoint Jay Shirley, A. Joe Young, and John Moore to the Fair Board.
second,
It's been moved and seconded to appoint A. Joe Young, Jay Shirley, and John Moore to their respective terms on the Fair Board, which has been described by Mr. Baltz. Further discussion, commissioners? Again, just overall, really appreciate people being willing to serve. It is kind of nice in a way. It's not that often that we have to, like, gosh, who should we pick for these? It's often we're scrambling just to get enough people to serve on these boards. So very grateful for people coming forward from the community, willingness to serve. So thank you, commissioners, for the good discussion. And I will ask for a vote. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much. All right, Mr. Baltz, anything else on that item that we need to cover? Okay, thank you very much. We are at that time in our meeting where we will take public comment on any item that is under the jurisdiction of the commission, but not on today's agenda. So we're willing to take public comment. Anyone who wants to comment, please give your name and address for the record. And this isn't, just to remind folks, it typically is not a back and forth with the commission. We're not having a debate. We will listen to public comment and we will consider your public comment and move on. So thank you very much. Welcome. Please come up, make sure the green light's on there, and then give us your name and address. You speak right into the microphone. That'd be great. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Yes.
My name's Elizabeth Hale. I live in Helena. I came to talk about election integrity concerns we have. Commissioner Rolfe was telling me how hard he's working with people in the election department downstairs. I guess you were saying they didn't want any back and forth, but maybe we could you update us at all about the progress you've been making? No?
What we're here to take public comment. We want to hear what you have to say. And if you would like to meet with Commissioner Rolfe after the meeting or something like that, typically in public comment, we're not doing a
Sure.
back and forth. We're here to listen to the public. And
Could we ever put it on the agenda that we could hear the progress that we're making as far as our election integrity goes?
thank you. After all the public comment, I'll try and answer questions, but I'll answer this one right off the bat. We would be happy to have Amy Reeves and her team do a presentation to the commission at some point in the near future to tell us about how that's going. It's a good idea. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Recently, there was a letter sent to the Montana Secretary of State by a man from Missoula who's a veteran. He's a electrical engineer. He's addressing concerns about the laws that have been broken by the election officials in our state at the direction of the Secretary of State's office. This fellow at the Secretary of State's office, Stuart Fuller, sent out a letter August 15th, 2022, which Mr. Woodward says has a lot of incorrect information on it. We're supposed to be able to look at the cast vote records, which are the records of, for example, in my case, I voted at a certain time in a certain place and for whom I voted. My name wouldn't be on there. But through this letter email that was sent to the election administrators, they were told that these can't be released. And by the way, we're the only state in the US that has not had one county be able to release its cast vote records, which is pretty astonishing. So the denial of this cast vote records is in violation of Montana Code Annotated 13-1-109 and Help America Vote Act, which is HAVA. We, the people, are supposed to be able to review the results of our elections in a timely way. There's no reason to disable a cast vote record system other than to eliminate potential evidence of a crime and prevent a key component to a valid audit of the election. Even that man who we heard at the legislature, Chris Lashkin, he's ESS, our voting machine vice president, system security, he said it very clearly in a video that he talked to us. I know in this area we were told that turning on the CVR slowed down the process of counting the votes. That's not accurate. I believe that it's what we heard in our county here. Anyway, in the future, we'd like things to be more clear for us so that we can check and make sure our voting procedures are going fairly. And I'm going to send you this article that he wrote that's very complete. In the back, maybe you've seen these, maybe we've talked to you about this before, where in different counties, we could tell that we could project how many people, say, a certain age were going to be voting. You could look at Missoula and say, you could look and see at Missoula, oh, 58% of the 83-year-olds voted. Then you could in our state, you could see that it was the same in all the counties. 58% of all the 50, whatever, I said 83-year-olds voted. And the same with all the different age groups you could predict. There's something obviously very creepy about that. We're going to have a speaker meeting on April 18th at the First Interstate Bank on Colonial Drive. We're going to have pizza at 11:30 and the speaker's going to be this gentleman who wrote this document. And if you want more information, we'd love to have you join us. Thank you. I hope that was helpful.
Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is there further public? Any further public? Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. My name is Jeremy Meglin. I'm running for state senate actually in 38. This is out of my district, but I do own land. Yeah.
Will you say your last spell?
Oh, Meglin, Myglland. I do own property in Lewis and Clark County as well. So I do want to say that I have been all over the state because I was running against Tester for a little while, and election integrity is a massive concern all the way across the state. And it doesn't seem to be of importance enough to be addressed at least properly. So I'm just here to just show support for the people that are really working on this and trying to ensure that we have a fair election. So I'm here in support of them, and I hope you guys can take this up and really look into it because it does start at the county level. And, you know, at least for public perception, we just really need to look into this, especially the voter machine. So I'm just here in support of them and as a landowner in Lewis and Clark County. So anyways, I appreciate your time, and I hope you give this the consideration it needs as you look into this and the facts and as things go. So anyways, that's what I had to say. So thank you. Yep, thank you.
Is there further public? Any further public? Any further public? Very much appreciate the public comment today. We'll take them into consideration, of course, as always. And commissioners, anything further? All right, with that, no further public comment, we will stand adjourned. Thank you very much. I don't know if you could hear me there, Flo. I